All right, today we are going to do a little bit of review starting with factoring quadratics. Now, when you see these words factoring, that just means we are breaking down binomials. And quadratics are our curves that we see on our graphs. Now, when we see two sets of parentheses when we break down our quadratics, those are our factors, okay? But one set of parentheses is called a binomial. So here's one binomial here. Here is one binomial here. Both of these binomials are my factors. All right, here's a type of question that you guys might see. It says, which is the completely factored form of the following expression? Well, the first thing that we have to do is see if there's a GCF. And you do this by starting with the smallest number in the problem, which is this 2. Okay? You see if this 2 can go into each number of my problem. So I can see here that 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 56 divided by 2 is 28. So because 2 goes into all of these numbers, it's the biggest number that can go into all of these numbers, 2 is my GCF. The next thing that you do is you type your problem in Desmos to find your solutions, roots, or zeros. So when I type my problem into Desmos, I can see that one solution is -7 and one solution is 4. Once I find my solutions, roots, and zeros, I need to turn those into factors. So if one of my solutions is -7, one of my factors, or one of my binomials, is x plus 7. If one of my factors is +4, one of my factors can be x minus 4. When you go to finish typing in your problem, the answer is not just x plus 7, x minus 4. You have to add your GCF in there. This is my whole answer. All right, this type of questions, it says, which binomial is a factor of the following expression? 2x squared plus x minus 1. So I go to Desmos, I type in 2x squared plus x minus 1. I find my solution, my root, my 0, which is -1, and 0.5. 0.5 is a decimal, so I have to go over to Desmos and type in 0.5. I click this, that will pop up, and it changes it to a fraction for me. So now I have my solutions are -1 and 1/2. So my factors would be x plus 1 and x minus 1/2. Remember, you take the opposite of whatever your zeros are. All right, when we have the fractions, we have to move our denominator over in front of our x. So this binomial stays the same, x plus 1. This binomial turns into 2x minus 1 because we have to move our denominator over. Also, over here I missed, do I have a GCF? Well, my biggest number in this problem is 1. So that means I can't go any smaller than that. So that means 1 is the only number that can fit into those. So technically my GCF is 1. All right, let's take a look at this. We need to know these words. So twice means I am multiplying something by 2. An example can look like 2x. If something is squared, it means I have an exponent of 2. It is raised to the second power. Examples are x squared or 3 squared. Input, those are my x values. So if input is, no. Input is just talking about x. I'm sorry. Input is talking about x. That means output is just talking about my y. The words more than and less than, when you see those, you have to switch the order in which the problem is given to you. So less than means we have to subtract and then switch the order. So if I had a number less than 2, even though that looks like x minus 2, it says less than, so I have to switch the order. So it's really 2 minus x instead of x minus 2. All right, x-intercepts. They are located here and here on the graph, and your number goes in the x spot when you actually want the coordinate, and the 0 in the y. So this looks like it could be -1, 0 and +1, 0. Domain. Domain is when I'm talking about my x values. Range is my y values. Linear is a line, and it even has the word line in it. Quadratic is when we're talking about our curves. And a y-intercept is where it intercepts the y-axis. So the 0 is in the x spot, and the number is in the y spot. So this could be 0, -3. All right, when you are asked to find a solution, a root of 0, you just type it in Desmos. You click on where it intercepts the x-axis. So I can see here that -3 and 5 are my solutions, roots, and zeros. Other ways you might be asked to get answers to this type of problem is if they say, what are the solutions to? Which is a 0 of, they should say of, sorry, which is a 0 of the function, or find the solutions to. Whenever you see a form of this question, we just go to Desmos, type it in, and click on my x-intercepts. All right. So if we go and we type this in, and I can see that my solutions are -7 and 9, that means my factors are x plus 7, because you take the opposite, and x minus 9. If my solutions are 6 and -5, my factors are x minus 6, x plus 5. But you might be given a problem where you're given the factor and have to say what the solution is instead of giving the solution and telling what the factors are. So if my factors are x minus 3, that means my solution is opposite of this minus 3, so one of my solutions was 3. And if it's x plus 4, that means one of my solutions was -4. Over here, I've got x plus 2, x minus 6, so this positive 2 as my factor means I had a -2 solution. This positive 6 as part of my factor means I have a -6 as one of my solutions. But what if we have fractions? All right, let's say my solutions are 2 over 3 and -4 over 5. Well, when I write those as my factors, it's going to be x minus 2 over 3 and x plus 4 over 4 over 5, sorry. Then I have to move my denominator over in front of my x. And when I do that, this is now going to be 3x minus 2 because I moved that denominator. This is 5x plus 4. Over here, I got -1 over 3 and 5 over 7 as my solutions. So it would be x plus 1 over 3 and x minus 5 over 7. Remember, your denominator has to go in front of your x. So I've got a 3x plus 1 and a 7x minus 5. Now let's work backwards. We know how to do this. So if my factor is 3x minus 2, that means I had a fraction, which means this number is supposed to be my denominator. So we have got to slide it back over. So that means this would be x minus 2 over 3, because when I'm working backwards, I have to slide my 3 over. So if -2 over 3 is part of the factor, that means my solution was positive 2 over 3. If my factor is 2x plus 5 and I want to work back to get my solution, I know that if a number is in front of my x, it was the denominator to this number here. Okay, so when I move this number to be my denominator, it'd be x plus 5 over 2. So if positive 5 over 2 is in my factor, then -5 over 2 was my solution. So you might see a problem be asked like this. It says, if a quadratic function has a factor of 2x plus 3, what could be the 0 of the function? Well, there's a number in front of my x, so I know I need to slide that over to be my denominator. So that would be 3 over 2. And then if it's a solution, I have to take the opposite of what it was in the factor, so it would be -3 over 2. All right. If you were given a question and it says, identify all of the functions or equations that have exactly 1 0, you just go to Desmos, you type in whatever your answer choices are, and you see how many x-intercepts it has. So this has exactly 1 0 because it's only touching the x-axis once. Whereas this problem, if I go and I type it in, I see it has exactly 2 zeros. I have a 0 right here at -2 and a 0 right here at 3. So if it asks you which ones have exactly 1 0 or which ones have exactly 2 zeros, you just go to Desmos and see what your x-intercepts are. All right. Okay, you might see your problem that says which table represents f of x equals 2x squared minus 1. We go to Desmos, type in 2x squared minus 1. We click on our settings button, and when that happens, we'll click on our table, and then we're given our table right here. These numbers you can delete, so if it asks you to find, like if it was 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 right here, you would just erase this and type in 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Range. All right, if my quadratic is pointing up, my arrows, if I drew arrows on here like how it's supposed to be, I can see my arrows are pointing up. If they're pointing up, it is going to be greater than or equal to. But if they are pointing down, it is going to be less than or equal to. And to find this number right here, you just see where your hump goes on your y-axis. So I can see this goes all the way down to -1. All right, same thing for here. The hump goes to -1. So this is y is greater than or equal to -1. This is y is less than or equal to -1. Here I can see my quadratic is pointing up. So it is y is greater than or equal to. Here my quadratic is pointing down. So it is y is less than or equal to. To figure out what number, you just see where your hump goes on the y-axis. So my hump goes all the way to -4. So it's -4 here. My hump goes all the way up to +4. So I write +4. All right, I believe this is our last slide. So you might be given a question that says, what is the value of the function f of x equals x squared minus 4 for the domain values of -2 and 4? So this is saying, hey, when x equals -2, which is shown here, and when x equals 4, what does the equation equal? What does my y equal? So you just go to Desmos, you type in your x squared minus 4, you click on your settings, you click on your table, and then you type in whatever x values or domain values you have in your x column or domain column. So it's asking me for -2 and 4. So I type in -2 and 4. So the value of the function when x equals -2, 0 can be an answer. And the value of the function when x equals 4, 12 can be my answer. All right.